second thing he talked about was this idea of not self. And that sounds a little scary too. Not self, non-self. Is this the part where he's going to say, I don't exist? Woody Allen had a joke in one of his movies about how he was dating a philosophy major, and they had a horrible date because she proved that he didn't exist. But non-self is actually the same idea as impermanence. It's not a different idea. Non-self just means that all the things you can point at, the bell over here, the tea kettle, Nancy, camera, right? It's the nature of our minds to look at things and say, these things exist separately from everything else. It's just a natural sort of way that we use ourselves as a point of reference, and this is here and everything else is out there somewhere, right? It's a natural way of looking at things. But it's slightly confused. Going back to these flowers for a second, okay, these flowers grew on a bush. And then that bush grew out of the soil. And that soil, in order to support life and to create life, had to be watered. And it also needed other material that had mixed into the soil from other plants and leaves and things that had decayed and changed form and joined the soil to give it nutrients. And the combination of sunlight and electricity and material in the soil creates life, right? So these flowers have a very intimate relationship with all of these elements. Non-self is really, oh, hello, come on in. So non-self is just this idea that there's nothing separate from that whole process that you can remove. Right? It's the same as impermanence again, how everything is changing and everything is leading to one thing after another. Cause, effect, new cause, new effect, new cause, new effect. But this isn't just philosophy. A few years ago, my grandfather died. And my father, well, if anybody here has lost a parent, you can empathize with what my father was going through. And he did something a little unusual in the days after. My grandfather died very suddenly. No one had a chance to say goodbye to him. It was one of those, he wasn't sick or anything, it was just like that. So it hit us all really hard. And my father did something unusual where he started asking me to come over and hang out a lot. And it wasn't something he normally did. And part of it was being close to me, and part of it also was I noticed as I was looking in the mirror that I really look a lot like my grandfather. And I look a lot like him today because I have a lot of hair right now. This is my grandfather's face, pretty much, pretty close to that. And so what is this body? Where does it come from? Where did this guy come from? Well, some protein and some material and some electricity shared between my two parents, right? So what's present in me that initiated this existed in them and existed before them, goes all the way back. So again, it's like this big ocean. We're all waves in this ocean. And we're here for a while. Look what a big, impressive wave I am. Back to the ocean again. But it's okay. The waves originally don't exist. And pretty soon, they go back. Right? That's what that poem, The Human Route, that we read sometimes is talking about. It's also what the Heart Sutra is talking about. It's the sutra that we chant every day. It's very short. In fact, that's the Heart Sutra right there. But we have it translated into English. We don't read off of that. But the Heart Sutra has this passage in it that sometimes throws people off because it says, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. But it's not saying those things don't exist at all. It's saying that those things don't exist separately. That our perception of this universe is all of this information coming in through all of these gates create our perception of events. They're intimate, they're integrated, they interpenetrate. Right? So in Buddhism, we talk about interbeing a lot. Everything is involved with everything in this universe. So When you read that chant off the chant book, you're holding paper in your hands, but you're also holding the tree that paper came from. You're holding the soybeans that made the ink that's printed on that paper. You're holding the people who worked to cultivate these things. You're holding the whole process that gives these trees and these bushes life. Poets sometimes understand this on an intuitive level. It's an idea that we can understand intellectually. It's not that difficult. It's another thing to really taste that and to really look at your child and see impermanence, to see non-self in the manifestation of this child. My words don't make literal sense, but when you touch that in your heart, it makes sense. And so impermanence and non-self actually aren't downers. They're not scary. Life is renewing itself all the time, right? So trees fall down, but that's what gives us incense. That's what gives us furniture, the new cabinet that's in our bathroom. Thank you, Steve. Things fall and give way to new forms and new life, and it just keeps going. So impermanence and non-self are the same point. It's just that impermanence we're dealing with time, and non-self we're talking about space. So nothing has a permanent, separate, fixed existence all by itself. It's got everything else involved with it.